The base is dropped on a Soccer Down Here live show in Greenville, South Carolina, ahead of the Greenville Triumph and Forward Madison USL League One action from Legacy Early College. Alongside John Nelson, I'm Jason Longshore, and we're going to talk some Greenville Triumph. We're going to talk USL League One. I kind of want to set the scene for the match tonight. You can watch at home on ESPN Plus tonight starting at 7 o'clock. USL League One has been very competitive in the early going, about 5 games in for everybody.
Yeah, and it's a lot of folks that we cover on a regular basis. Chattanooga, top of the ladder. They brought in some folks in the offseason. Jimmy Obleda doing really well, having won 3 of their first 6. South Georgia Tormenta really, I think, is one of the big stories so far in USL League One this year with what they were doing, not just in Open Cup, but out of the blocks in League One as well. Right now they're in second. Then you've got some of the newer faces. Central Valley right now, they're part of that gaggle/group that's at 8 points as well. But then you look at some of the other guys that we focus on. Union Omaha perpetually making their way deep into playoff runs in USL League One. Mm-hmm. They're off to a bit of a slow start. Greenville off to a slow start as well.
Union Omaha has been a little busy.
They've been a little busy. Yes.
They added $25,000 to their pockets because they are the deepest advancing third division team in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. They're still alive in the round of 16, so maybe a little distracted for them. Greenville's right behind them, same number of points. Goal difference has them behind. Greenville's had a ton of injuries this season, and it hasn't really gotten any better. This is not our fault, by the way. It's nothing to do with training staffs of the teams that I am affiliated with or involved with. Don't blame me, okay? I had nothing to do with it.
I do not blame you.
Sure, right. Anyway, bunch of injuries, though. They've struggled.
Yeah, they have. Out of the blocks at 1, 2, and 2. They lost 2 of their first 3, but they've turned it around recently with 4 points in their last 2. Big win against Chattanooga Red Wolves 2 times out. Then last time out, they end up with the draw against Central Valley, going out to Fresno. And that's another part of this with USL League One, are the road trips, where last week it was the Eastern teams going west. This weekend you have the Midwestern and the Western teams coming east, and that's an underlying storyline here this season with USL League One, the travel and how you handle it.
Yeah, the injuries early on, definitely an issue here, but it's turned around a little bit. Greenville got a big win in the Open Cup over Oakland Roots of USL Championship here in town, then hosted Charlotte, and it was a very close match that definitely could have gone Greenville's way. Loved seeing the highlights of that. Loved seeing the energized fan base here in Greenville. They easily could have taken the dub then.
Yeah, they could have. And I think that, you're seeing the moments like you saw in Open Cup, those kinds of opportunities that are presenting yourself to you. If you get that slow start, you end up doing well in Open Cup. You knock off a couple of folks, then you start to turn the corner, at least, mentally. Then you parlay that into wins and what you're getting, not just in Open Cup, but in League One. And so it looks like Greenville, after that slow start, they're getting things together, working their way through the injuries and getting to where they want to be.
Yeah, so work through it. It was a loss in Omaha. It was a loss here at home. Then they get the win over the Roots, a draw at North Carolina, 120 minutes with Charlotte, end up losing 2-1 there. It definitely took something out of them. The following match, a few days later, hosting South Georgia Tormenta, who frankly had an easier match going to Birmingham and winning that one in Open Cup. So Tormenta flying high at that point. But since then, it's the win over the Red Wolves, which is a huge win, building momentum, and then a good draw on the road at Central Valley. Feels like things are turning. They're not as healthy as they want to be just yet, though.
Yeah, and there are some familiar faces for those that follow the lower divisions. And, you guys like Don Smart, familiar face.
Well, familiar face to Forward Madison as well.
That is true. So you'll have that subplot tonight. You got Jake Keegan, who spent time away. Now he's back with Greenville Triumph. Lucas Coutinho, who we've seen with time with South Georgia Tormenta. He's now a part of the roster here. Noah Pilato, Aaron Walker, Tyler Pollock, Evan Lee. A lot of the familiar faces that have stayed here in Greenville to build and work on what they've started here a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, the veteran Aaron Walker, somebody that Atlanta soccer fans should know well from Oglethorpe University. Aaron Walker's been here from the beginning, and he's been the captain for this side. Walker is very critical to the Greenville Triumph success. Let's get into Forward Madison coming in on the road here. Open Cup last time out for them, they were knocked out by Minnesota United. Since then, they hosted Central Valley Fuego, fell 1-0. But they did go to Richmond in their last match on the weekend and got a 1-0 win. That's a huge 3 points on the road.
Yep, and probably one of the guys to focus on if you're looking at this match tonight for Forward Madison, the guy between the sticks in Phil Breno. We've seen him with the Charleston Battery in the past, and now that Breno is getting reps as the starter, you look to him as one of those experienced voices that you have, whether it's between the sticks and directing traffic or just having the experience in the lower divisions as well. Opportunity for Phil Breno to show his worth with what we're seeing with Forward Madison. But, yeah, right now, tonight, Greenville's got to get it past Phil Breno if they're going to get full points. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, another player that Atlanta United fans would know is Andrew Wheeler Aminu. Hasn't played since that Open Cup match. Not sure if there's an injury there. I'm assuming there is. He started 3 matches on the year.
Yeah, and for those that can go into the not so way back machine and remember what AWO was all about when he was a part of Atlanta United too, the skill set that he brings. And so when he is back up to full song, I want to see how he fits into everything and helps Forward Madison along as well.
So you've had a chance throughout Greenville Triumph's run to talk to folks, to talk to John Harkes, American soccer legend who's coaching here in Greenville. Name has come up at different points with other jobs. Wonder if it'll come up again with DC United Open now, or Chad Ashton's going to get an extended, run here to see what he can do. But John came here after the Cincinnati year 1. Had a bit of a falling out with the leadership there. They probably wish they'd gone in a different direction at the time after the many different twists and turns they've had.
No kidding, yeah.
But Harksey comes here and has really found a great home for himself and has some hardware to show for it.
Yeah, and when you're a USL League One champ, all you've got to do when you're here at Legacy Early is look on the scoreboard. Big old banner that sits there and says USL League One champs. And when you can bring that kind of, when you can bring that kind of attention to a program and see what someone like John Harkes has been here to build and have the process continue to grow and evolve. You get a championship. You're anticipating not just internally, but to everyone who follows USL League One. The anticipation is that you will be contending for championships with an advanced voice like you've seen in John Harkes. And it's been, for me anyway, it's been interesting to see this build and see how it's been embraced up here in the upstate, see what John Harkes has been able to do. And you're seeing the results behind us here with the consistency when it gets to chasing playoffs and chasing championships, but also the folks in the stands, too, that are a part of this as well.
Yeah, fun team to watch. And I think the product is what keeps bringing people back out. This should be a really competitive match. 2 games last year in 2021, 1-1 draw up in Wisconsin, 2-2 draw here in Greenville last June. See if somebody can get the 3 points tonight.
8th time all time that these two teams have met, and Forward Madison is still looking for that first victory against Greenville. Juicebox Purveyors had Greenville on the minus side coming in. I think it was a minus 106 when we were doing the show this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how much that has changed, but it's understandable considering travel and all the other elements that are attached to it. But yeah, Greenville right now is on the minus side coming into this one tonight.
Has Forward Madison unveiled a new jersey for the match tonight?
For the match tonight, we will see, but I think that they have unveiled at least one new jersey / variant for their merchandising store that I have seen so far this year. I've seen one new one.
How many different jerseys have they worn in 5 games this year?
Let's see. I want to say 3.
Wow. I mean, hey, whatever it takes, but it just still cracks me up how many different jerseys they do on a regular basis. Again, whatever works for you.
Well, true. And I, in full disclosure,
you buy everything. So how many do you own?
None yet.
Wow, I'm shocked.
Because they're quite pricey. They're on the north end of the scale when it comes to the wallet.
Well, there you go.
And that for me, I have to sit there and budget and manage and figure out how many of whomever I'm getting. I really want the drip sweatshirt, though.
You can't wear anything with drip in it, John.
Why not?
It's like the food channel on our Discord. You're just not allowed to do it.
Okay.
It's a problem.
So then if I was to purchase it, who would be most
Patty would wear it, not you.
No question. She'd steal it from me.
Yeah, no, she would prevent you from looking silly wearing it.
No, she wouldn't prevent me from ever looking silly. But what she would do is she would steal it and wear it with pride.
No, she would wear it with pride, but she would also prevent you from wearing it with maybe something else.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
Because
because it would probably be something like khaki shorts or something like that.
Probably, and driving slippers, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Absolutely.
A little bit of a recap from last week with Greenville in Central Valley to face Fuego FC.
Yes.
It was their home opener. Fuego, again, remember, came here to Greenville and won the home opener here. Not quite the same revenge, but did prevent Fuego from getting the win at home. Really close match, 1-1, obviously, and Fuego got the goal right before the end of the first half.
Yeah.
So on the road, long trip, usually when you concede first, it doesn't end well for you. Credit to the side for coming back in the second half and getting something out of that trip.
No question, and when you're
That's not John. John did not do that.
Oh, I know, but it was
first time ever.
No, it was an own goal in the 8th minute of the second half, in the 53rd to get you your equalizer off of Dulise that gave it 1-1 at that point. And then when you're going to Fresno, California, because last time I checked, I don't think there's a direct flight from Greenville to Fresno.
I am assuming no.
So you leave GSP, you make your way to Fresno. You're probably connecting Los Angeles somewhere in there to take a hot flight, or Phoenix or something. I'm not causing that.
He's not. I don't think.
Not yet.
I don't put it past him. But I don't think that's John's fault.
No, but with all of the machinations that are involved in travel, the grind that's associated with it, you're wondering when you hit that wall. But you get that moment early in the second half. And then it's about maintaining, and you're trying to sit there and see the match out. There were a couple of opportunities late for Greenville, if memory serves, where a couple of close calls where they almost got out of there with full points. So I don't think you get a lot of credit going to a place far out west, coming out with a point and fighting the way that you have.
One of the impressive players in this Greenville side is a veteran in the second and the third divisions in USL. Don Smart comes over from Forward Madison, has been around the block quite a few times. He's been their best player, at least according to the SofaScore ratings. Don Smart has been the best player this season for Greenville. What does he bring to the table?
Physicality, first and foremost, for me. He's not afraid to put his head down, not afraid to challenge, not afraid to back down from a challenge. And with that experience that you were talking about, for me, it's one of those guys that will be more than happy to get from point A to point B. And if you're in the way, it doesn't matter to Don Smart. He's going to make sure that he's going to do what he is set out to do in any given possession. So in addition to the experience, the physicality, taller in stature than a lot of folks that he's chasing after. So there's a lot of that stuff that you look at for someone that Don Smart can bring to the table. And I think that that's just a small sample of what he can.
Yeah, he plays in a midfield trio, or at least he did in the last match against the Fuego. Scrappy. I mean, he's a guy who earlier in his career was somebody who really got by a lot with pace. And at 34, okay, maybe not quite the same pace that he used to have. It happens to all of us. But Don has kind of found another way to contribute and uses intelligence, if not that pace, in the middle of the park. Played 89 minutes out in California, had a chance created, 76% passing, 22 of 29, very tidy on the ball, good defensively, had an interception, won a tackle, a connector in this group. And at USL League One, you have to have those veterans in, because generally you're going to have a younger side, and a lot of times you're going to have a less experienced side at the professional level. Somebody like Smart becomes critical, along with Aaron Walker, in that three-man midfield to kind of set the table for the rest of the group.
Yeah, and to see a guy like Don Smart navigate the game in his now mid-30s, and seeing how he can assist, and I mean that in helping the guys behind him, but at the same time being that fulcrum, being that catalyst that can help work your way from the middle third and into the attacking third. And when you see a guy like Don Smart, and the second you take for granted that he's out there and you're looking at other guys, that's when Don Smart can come up and bite you.
Yeah, Smart, after 2 years here in Greenville, was at Madison before in 2020, spent some time with Fresno. most probably remember his time with Indy 11.
Yep.
Almost 100 matches with Indy 11. But a veteran at this level and an important piece. Who are some of the other faces for Greenville that stand out to you?
Well, going back to the preseason action that Greenville had with Atlanta United.
You had a chance to see him up close.
Yeah, I got a chance to catch him. Alan Gavilanis has had a bit of a slow start. He's in his second season here in Greenville, but I know that there's a lot of expectation on Alan to help things out in the midfield. You know, you've mentioned Aaron Walker earlier here in the broadcast. You know, you look at a guy like Jake Keegan, who knows, once again, the lower divisions, and he knows what it means to be wearing a Greenville jersey. So been here, went away, came back. So you look at a guy like Jake Keegan up top, you know, Don Smart, that kind of advantage as well. You have guys like Noah Pilato as well, but just a couple of guys. But I think that you look at a guy like Gavilanis, who's come off to a bit of a slow start here in his second year with Greenville. I know that folks are looking for him to jumpstart what they're anticipating from him offensively as you get further along here in the season.
Yeah, 22 years old, Alan Gavilanis, leading the team in chances created, but 2 per game. Looking for a little bit more out of him. Another one in the midfield that is interesting to me is Jesus Ibarra. He plays in that midfield triangle with Smart, with Walker. He started 3 games on the year. He's played in all 5. But he's another chance creator. Spent a little bit of time with the Charleston Battery, was in Europe before that, but he's actually going way back to the old Greenville FC NPSL side.
Yep.
He played here, then ends up back in town. You know, I think for people maybe in the Atlanta area who watch the show, people around the country who watch the show and maybe don't follow the lower divisions in the Southeast, you're seeing this growth. We've talked about the Red Wolves, and we've been up there to visit them. We were in Birmingham for preseason friendly with Atlanta United. We talk about Tormenta a good bit, but what's being built here, it's not an overnight success story. It's not just something that somebody walked in and plopped down, and it's been great. Greenville's been a thriving soccer community. You go back to 2008 when we started the NPSL South region. It was a team in Huntsville, Alabama, Rocket City. It was us with Atlanta FC, and it was a team in Greenville. Now, that group didn't have the resources to keep it going, but they saw the need, and they saw the soccer talent in this area. It's taken a little bit of time, but the Triumph have been able to build on that. I'm excited to see where it goes when you start developing more young talent, not just young talent coming here like Gavilanis, like Ibarra, but young talent coming through an academy system and making the leap.
And I think a lot of credit has to go to the Erwin family here with Joe Erwin, the CEO, with Doug Erwin, who's scheduled to catch up with us here in just a little bit, but their dedication to and their knowledge, and won't get into this when Doug is with us, but their understanding of what the sport means to the upstate and have all of that kind of development. And it's been fun to see this gradual build, and we can ask him about the future as well, but you get to see everything that's been accomplished in this growth. And there are some other steps that have been taken, other leagues and other teams that are participating that are a part of that Greenville Triumph umbrella too. So, I mean, it's been good to see it work its way both north and south and east and west when it comes to the build.
Chris Ashley's in the chat talking trash about Forward Madison. How many jerseys have they worn in a final, he says?
I believe that would be 0.
Yes, that would be 0. But they have 95 other ones.
Yes, that is
they
true.
will be ready to break out.
That is probably true, yes.
He's also saying nobody can have Harks. He's Greenville's forever.
Okay.
We've had this conversation before,
yes,
Chris.
We have.
I don't think it will be just any opportunity that he would take, because I do think he's really happy. He's got all the resources that he could want here, but somebody's going to come in at some point because of the job he's done here. And then this becomes a very desirable spot for a coach on the rise. And that's what's so exciting about what's happening at this level around the Southeast is it's not just back in the day, you'd start a team, see what happens, whatever. It's sustainability. And that's the biggest thing that I think the Irwin family has shown and done is it's not about a 1-year thing. It's not about just dropping a team and, oh, cool, that'll be great. And whatever. We're not really thinking about the long term. We're not thinking about the W League. We're not thinking about all the other aspects of it. You need all of that. To have the sustainability, you need all of that.
Yeah.
I think our trash talker might be arriving here in a minute.
Oh, I believe he is. Yeah, he is on the other side of the.
We're just talking about you talking trash, and now you walk up. Come on up, join us.
Yeah.
From the chat to the show.
Yeah, really.
Greenville soccer guy, Chris Ashley. What's up?
How's it going?
Hey,
We blew an amp when we got here, so we're just on the Twitch today. We don't have the speakers.
So yes, everyone's blaming me for blowing.
It's John's fault.
Yes.
Well, that's a logical step to take.
Yeah, I mean, he plugged it in.
Yeah. I repeatedly plugged it in,
broke it,
and it kept triggering. It kept triggering the fuse, and yeah. So it's my fault
for sure.
So we're
of course
muted,
always.
By the way,
so we're catching up on Greenville. Been a little bit of a slow start, injuries, but it feels like it's picking up. And the last result out on the road, I think, is a pretty impressive one to go that far, get a point. Big win over the Red Wolves before that. Where's your feeling about the group this year?
Yeah, I was really pleased with a draw on the road at Central Valley, who's been a really hot team coming in as an expansion team this year. I think coming in, I knew the biggest problem for Greenville was going to be putting balls in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And I love Jake Keegan, but he is this has been his time in Greenville. He's either hot or cold. And so he's kind of been, a little bit on a slow streak. But I think once he gets them going, it's going to be almost like Cisneros down in Atlanta. I think once that first one gets in, you're going to see him kind of get on a roll and start putting them back in the back of the net. And Greenville's defense has been, as it has in years past, really strong. It's just they got to score goals. So,
hey, we have been through this and the injuries as well, and it's something that Gonzalo Pineda's talked about with Atlanta United, and I'm sure John Harkes kind of echoes it when you're missing pieces and getting guys back in, and you don't have a consistent lineup. Sometimes where it really suffers is that chemistry in the attack.
Yeah, and another piece that Greenville's been without almost all year has been Noah Pilato, and he's a piece that I think it's really easy to forget about, but when he's on the pitch, he does so much to get the offense going and set up those opportunities to score. So I think when we get him back, when we get Keegan, maybe putting him in the back of the net a little bit, I think we'll be in good shape. So
no doubt about it. I think we have our guest. I think.
Yeah, I'm going to get up and let him.
Hanger, come back if you can.
Come back. Win. Yeah. So come back for round 2. Tag out.
Make sure you follow in GVL Soccer Guy to keep up with everything going on about this guy's team.
Yes.
What's up?
How do I follow Chris Ashley?
I think you'll be okay.
I think I know what I'm talking about.
I'm sure you can fake it.
Yeah.
Doug Erwin, Vice Chair, Chief Branding Officer of the Greenville Triumph, hanging out with us. Good. Thanks for rolling out the carpet for us. It's great to be here finally.
This is great. I wish I could have gotten the rain to stay away, but we're doing all right.
I think we're going to be okay. How's it looking for later?
It's looking all right.
Okay.
It's looking all right.
I didn't sound too sure. It worries me a little bit.
I hope there's not too much stoppage time in the first half.
Fair enough.
What minute does a game become official?
46. Okay. Catch up with Justice at YFF and make sure.
Yeah.
It's like we need the forecast.
Just delay it till like 9:30. We'll be all right.
When you look at what the Triumph have been able to do since day one, has there been one thing that has been more impressive to you than anything else about the growth of the franchise and now its place in the soccer footprint, not just in the Southeast, but here in the country?
Maybe the on-field success. I mean, I don't say that as a slight to John or any of the players. Obviously, part of the reason we hired John is we expect to win, but it's still difficult. And you look at the injuries we dealt with last year to even get back and make the final after going winless for pretty much 2 months in the middle of the season. I know we would have liked to have won one more game, but even just to get to that final felt like a huge accomplishment after what we'd endured. So, to do that year over year, that takes a lot. And I think that certainly takes a lot from John, from his staff, from all the players, but also from the front office staff. We're all committed to that. And we know that, maybe unlike some other lower level sports, like this is winning matters, certainly in this league, and it resonates with the community. So I think that's impressed me, and that's helped drive the engine along with all the efforts we've made in the community. But I think that, and then just the general fan response. I mean, from go, everybody was into it. The community was on board. Everybody loved the brand, merch sales, the downtown store. It's just, it's felt like a snowball effect. And if we can get another title, that'll certainly make things continue. But now with the women's side coming on too, it just the train's moving. It's not stopping anytime soon.
I think the big picture aspect of it is what's impressed me the most, because I've seen lower divisions at all different levels. And a lot of times it's been a very short-term approach over the years. That was never your approach. That was never the idea here. It's sustainability, and it's the quality on the pitch, but also everything else you're doing in the community that leads you to that. And now you have the women's side coming in.
Yeah, and I think to the point you just made, one of the things we said was we firmly believe that the first year is not going to be our best attendance year, whereas you see with a lot of minor league sports teams, it's the first year and then it slowly kind of declines a little bit.
Yep.
And we've, COVID aside, we've come up in attendance every year and, adding the women's team. So I think for us, it is that, hey, let's not go all in too soon and kind of exhaust it. It's, we're going to slowly target different groups, different areas. And we've also, for a league this size, we're a pretty big market to draw from. So, there are always new pots of people that have never heard of us. So, we're bringing people new out. And then you get opportunities like Open Cup, which, I think now a lot of those were Charlotte fans, but I think about a third of those ticket holders had never been to a Triumph game.
Oh, wow.
So,
very cool.
You can't count on those opportunities, but when they come at you, you got to be able to take charge. And I think we did. And, largest crowd in history. So
it popped off the screen watching it and checking in on that game. It looked like an event, a big event.
Oh, yeah. And I think the thing that was different about that match, that's the way I hope the league continues to trend, and you guys know this because you see it certainly in Atlanta, especially with Charlotte coming into is away fans. That just changes the game. And people are like, well, did it annoy you guys that Charlotte was in here making so much noise? Hell no, it didn't annoy us. It was great. It throws the gauntlet down to our supporter group a little bit, but it just makes for an experience. It's an unforgettable night. And as we get more teams regionally where fans, we keep talking about hopefully someday Asheville will move up. If Columbia can get a team, North Carolina, Georgia, other teams there where we can make it more drivable, that makes it even better. And that's kind of one of the things we're excited on the women's side. All those teams are within about a 4-hour drive.
Right.
So we'll hopefully get a lot of away fans for those.
And at the same time, I think that's part of the longer term vision of something like a League One where it is regionalized and you have pockets where the pockets can build on each other and you're not having to take the direct flight from GSP to Fresno.
Yes. We do not want to we want to get on a bus, not a plane. That certainly helps our profit and loss at the end of the year. But but again, also builds those rivalries to where they're known commodities that are coming in, where you get to the point that you can sell Tormenta or Chattanooga coming to town. We're still okay. Who or what is a Fuego and all?
Right.
And, we'll get there and they'll get there. And, certainly able to welcome Fuego and they come beat us, that gets our fans knowing who they are.
You're not welcome back.
But yeah, as you get to those, everybody, we're playing Madison tonight. Most people who follow, even if you don't follow League One, you might follow the championship. You probably know who Madison is. So as we get more of those organizations to come in, that's only going to help things from our ability to promote.
Yeah, it's just, I've always felt like the minor league baseball model with a very regionalized league worked so well, and at times maybe we get away from that in the soccer world, but here, especially now with the independents around as well, you're getting those potential rivalries and visiting fans showing up. And I don't know, I've always felt like there's going to be more of a buzz in the building if it's a town or city that
Oh yeah, well, talking about the independents, when they come down in a couple months, I think they're bringing a bus of fans.
Yeah, very cool.
They were talking, they said, can you get us some tickets? And I think we're going to do the same way. So that's one of the first times where we've gotten to do coordinated support.
That's awesome.
From the team side. I know we have some of our fans travel, but that's the stuff we need. And it doesn't have to be 300 fans.
No.
Even if it's 50 are loud in a small venue like this.
Yeah, that has a huge impact.
Yeah.
When you look at all of this, and you mentioned the women's side as well, is there such a thing as a typical work week now because of all of these moving parts that are working together?
No, definitely not. I think, I'm trying to, who plays on this day, and is that the men's or the women's?
Do you have a desk calendar like I do, or is it?
I've got on the side of my desk, I've got a men's schedule and a women's schedule. I do not have a master schedule of home matches, which is what I need. But, we're just getting by. And I think the women's team from a competitive pyramid standpoint is at a lower level, but from a promotion and how we structure, it's going to be just like a League One match to us in terms of how our social media digital approach is. Because they deserve that. It's easier for us to just stay consistent. So for us, it's a different team on the field, but it's the same approach. But it is the potential for a new fan base to tap into. And again, I think there are people that are going to find out about the Liberty that have never heard of the Triumph, and I'm fine with that. I think if we're getting our name out there, it doesn't matter which team it is. It's all good for business. And I like that the women are bringing a much more local flair with players from Clemson and Furman and Gardner Webb and USC Upstate and Anderson. That makes it real for people. And I even noticed that when we had the preseason game last Sunday, a lot of the fans that were here were school classmates and parents and youth teammates and that. So you got a cheering section.
You can't buy that.
No, it's very grassroots. And that was really cool to see.
When you look at, and I'll go ahead and ask, when it comes to the diplomacy aspect with Atlanta United, Darren, the idea was pub diplomacy.
Yep.
Literally, it's like, okay, this restaurant, take it a street at a time, a restaurant at a time, a pub at a time, make those appearances. What is that like up here with both the Liberty and the Triumph? What kind of diplomacy is going on here?
It's the same approach. It's I think what's so great about minor league and lower level sports is accessibility to players, coaches, front office staff. You can't replicate that a lot of time. And Atlanta did about as good a job of any of doing that, but it really does take that genuine approach. You can't just, regardless of how big your budget is, you can't just blanket the town in advertising and hope that that's gonna turn out, because you have to make that genuine connection, and that's the kind of thing that's going to get people telling their friends and neighbors about it. So
it goes back to that year one mentality, like you mentioned. If you blitz everything with advertising, you're blowing your budget. And you're going to be the hot thing in town for a minute, but there's no real connection.
And the key, I always talk about this too when we do events in the community, make the room feel like it's packed. And some of that is pick the right rooms. You don't need to have a banquet hall that can seat 2,000 and put 20 people in there. If we can pack out venues, that's the kind of thing that builds that momentum. We did it with the Liberty launch. I mean, we had probably 200 people packed into a space that had no business holding 200 people, and it was great. It was a great atmosphere.
It has a different buzz to it.
So doing more of that, but I think being on a first name basis with a lot of our fans and our supporters is huge. And that's, if I worked in Major League Baseball or NFL, I'd miss that. You just don't get that, and it's genuine, and it's the kind of stuff that builds lasting fans.
I think at this level too, the youth side is so important, and it's something that USL is doing from two different sides. I mean, obviously you want to draw kids to the game. I'm seeing so many kids come in tonight, but you also want to start to develop kids who end up playing for the Triumph. How is that side of things looking, and how are the relationships with the youth soccer community?
They're good. We've taken a very careful approach to that. We don't have the financial weight to just go buy a club, nor do we want to. For us, it was about working with the clubs that were already in the area, because they've been doing the right thing for 20, 30 years in some cases. We don't need to come in and try and tell them how to do their job. So, it's intentional. It's doing things slowly, looking at where are opportunities where we can collaborate with the clubs. We can't control the egos. If there are egos in relationships of this club hates that club, or this club doesn't like you guys, I'm not trying to change people's mind in that, but we're just trying to extend open arms for all those clubs. So we look at what we've done with USL Academy, where we didn't just go out and make a team. It's, hey, let's put an all-star team together and just go play this tournament. Or maybe we'll just go play one of these 6-week league pod seasons. We've done some affiliate agreements with a couple of the clubs in the upstate. We recently announced a partnership with CISA, who's the largest club.
Excellent.
And that helps us to the player development standpoint is the relationship is also so we can get looks at some of these kids, because, we don't have a 2 side. We don't have a League 2 side, but we bring academy players in all the time for training. We've had, I think, 4 CISA players in this year, 2 of whom have gotten in games in League 1 matches. So, we're committed to that, and we want to help identify that next talent. And even if those guys are people that are never going to play for us, that experience for them to give that back to some of the top players in the upstate is huge.
Huge. Absolutely.
What's it been like to have John Harkes as a part of this experience?
I mean, how can you quantify what he's done for us? I think especially early on as we're building the club, having someone with his experience as a player, as a coach, also as a guy who built out a team in Cincinnati. That was huge for us, because we didn't know what we were doing in 2018 and 2019, and we probably still don't know what we're doing right now. But I think that the credibility he brings, that we've talked a lot about, do teams hire a coach and a sporting director, or do they hire a coach and sporting director? And the ability to just hire one guy who's got that Rolodex and can do all the scouting, have those connections. If we need to loan a player, it's just, all right, who do I want to call to try and get a loan player from? That's been huge. And I think what he's been able to do, the culture he's been able to create, has led to us having a lot of stability. We've got 3 or 4 players who are in year 4 and another handful in year 3. And that's pretty rare in this league. Turnover is probably on average 60 to 70% year over year. And ours has been at 35 to 45% probably. That speaks volumes. And I mean, part of that's because we're winning too, but that all goes back to John and his staff and what they're able to do.
Yeah, one of your players that I get talked to about a lot is Aaron Walker. I call games for Oglethorpe University, so John Aiken, their coach, always talking about Aaron and how big of a deal he was at Oglethorpe. How big of a deal has he been here?
I mean, is it going too far to say he's probably one of the most underappreciated players in American soccer? Again, that's not to say he's going to go start tomorrow for the MLS champ. Maybe he could. But I think what he does, it's just so quiet. It's such a workmanlike mentality. And he doesn't fill up the stat sheet. But, man, you can tell when he's not out on the field.
Right.
What he brings, how he's able to set the tempo and turn defense into offense, key the attack. Just keep the team calm. I mean, it's impossible to quantify. He's an incredible player. Could be playing at any level he wanted. Glad he's here. Hope he doesn't want to go anywhere. His loyalty to John, I think, is huge, and John's loyalty to him. Yeah. But it really is one of those, you don't know what you got in Aaron sometimes until he misses a game or two because of injury, and there's just the midfield can get so disjointed when you don't have his consistent presence. So he's been amazing.
Yeah, but you mentioned that lack of turnover and the stability that's here. I mean, literally, you could just go down the roster. It's Tyler, it's Evan, it's Noah, it's Aaron, it's Jake Keegan, who was here, left, and came back.
Right.
You have all of that stability that's here that's a part of this, and they want to stay. It's like, yes, we probably could, but we like it here, and I think that's key.
And one of the things John preaches to him is, if the championship calls tomorrow, don't just go because it's the championship.
Right.
Don't just go because it's MLS. Go because it's the right situation.
Exactly.
And if John thinks that you have found a good situation, he'll be the first guy to say, you know what, go do that.
Yeah.
I want you here selfishly, but the thing for you as a player to grow. So I think there's a lot of that too, because some of these guys, the guys you just mentioned, they could jump to a championship squad, but are they gonna have a better environment? Probably not. Will they face some stiffer competition? Maybe, but maybe not. I mean, we've seen a lot of League One sides hang with and beat championship squads. So I really think that the level of competition between the two is close, and it's just about finding that situation that you feel comfortable in and a coach you feel comfortable playing for. And certainly, I think we have one of the best home environments in the USL. So I think it's important in the continuity there. Again, if Liverpool calls tomorrow, I'd bet they'd all go too.
Yeah. Right.
But just because the next team calls, you might not be the right team. So I appreciate their commitment to staying and waiting for the right opportunity, like Dallas J last year.
Yeah.
When he gets the opportunity with Monterey.
Yeah.
That's the right opportunity. He knows what he can bring to an expansion club because he's done it before, and he gets to go up and have that opportunity and start some matches. But that was very careful and well thought out. A lot of talk between Dallas and John, and intentionality.
Yeah. And having somebody like Paul Christensen who can step in, you're in a good spot.
That spoils us a little bit that we have that. And I mean, even Ben Hale, who hasn't really had much game action for us, but to hear John talk about Ben and what he brings to the table, we're 3 deep on guys who could and should start in League One last year, and now we're still 2 deep. And behind that, we got an academy kid who's 16 years old, and he's like 6'5".
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that keeper pipeline is strong for us.
Very nice. And that continuity is key in a year like this one where you have injuries early on and you are still kind of getting to finding your footing. We've watched it in Atlanta this year with injuries and how it can be difficult to overcome. Feels like the light is at the end of the tunnel, though?
I hope so, but I felt that way all year, and then the light would dim every 2 weeks when somebody got hurt again. I feel like we really paid our dues with injuries last year, and we should be due for a little health. But John brings a point. It's a long season. It's 30 matches. Yep. Everybody's going to have a stretch of month, 2 months where you're really banged up, and you're going to face that adversity. Hopefully it's better to do it at the start of the season and go on a run late. It's kind of like baseball in that regard. It's team gets hot in September and in the playoffs, but
you were listening to the show this morning. That's what we were talking about with Atlanta United.
Yeah, but it's tough to stay the course, and it's frustrating, especially week to week when you just can't get that consistency, because you can tell it's lacking out there right now. And I think all the guys know that, and the guys have had to step in are stepping in really well, and I do think we're blessed with great depth, but the consistency is just hard, regardless of how good the guys off the bench are coming in and playing. If you can't field the same lineup 2 weeks in a row, and you can see that especially on offense. On defense, I feel like our attack is so tight and principled. We can get a guy or two to step in, and John teaches such a good pattern. But offense, you really got to have that rhythm, and we're missing that. But we still got time to get there. This league, if we saw it last year, it came down to 9 teams were eligible for the playoffs until almost the last week of the season. So we got a little time, not a lot of time, but a little time.
But at the same time, though, you look at all of these dance partners that you have in USL League One. We talked about things regionally with the rivalries that are developing.
Right.
You get a Richmond with an Emiliano Terzaghi. You have a Bijev with Central Valley. It seems like no matter where you look, there's quality all around, and I think it speaks to the level of the league in general and how it's continued to grow.
Yeah, I mean, both of the expansion sides. Look at Fuego's gotten off to a great start. Physical team. I think they play Chattanooga this weekend. I'm really excited to watch that match and see how many cards are handed out. Northern Colorado went out and just scooped up stars. I mean, they put together a great roster. I know they've been a little hit or miss on results.
They've had that run in the Open Cup, though.
They've had the run in the Open Cup. So, teams come in and they can compete immediately. And, you play each other 3 times a year, but you rarely see the same team twice,
right?
Even in those meetings. But I mean, top to bottom, I remember it even last year. The teams that you think are going to be bottom of the table at the start of the season, they don't look bottom of the table when you get them for 90 minutes. Over the course of a season, sure, maybe, but man, the competition's there, and you got the table pulled up, but who knows? I mean, we're down here in, what are we, 9th right now?
Yeah.
We beat Chattanooga. They're top of the table.
Yeah.
They played another one more match than everybody, but everybody's good. Omaha, I think, is going to be a little up and down.
Another cup run,
they're kind of busy.
But they'll be there by the end of the season.
Yeah.
That's their pedigree through a couple seasons. So I can look at that table, and there's no obvious, these guys are going to be bad. I mean, look at Tucson's at the bottom of the table. Man, they were a hard out last season. They were great.
Yeah.
And they caught fire at the end. I mean, with their slow start, there was a coaching change.
Yep.
And then, you bring in somebody from the front office, and he takes over, and Tucson just took off.
Yeah, John Perlman's done a great job since being back. And at Fuego, they had a coaching change, 3 days before the season opener, and have had this hot start. So, and I think until the league gets to be about 20, 25 teams, you're going to see this, because we're all just going to beat each other up. And if we keep adding more games, going from 28 to 30, we're just going to beat each other up even more, and have an Open Cup back now. We don't have the depth of an MLS squad in this league, but you still got a lot of players that can play, and fresh legs coming on, and it just takes one player getting hot. I mean, talk about Terzaghi, the runs he'll go on in spurts.
Yeah.
He'll just win you a month's worth of matches by himself. So
I want to finish with kind of looking into the crystal ball a little bit at all aspects of what's going on here. So let's start on the women's side. W League back. The Super League is coming in next year at the professional level. Where do you see that going over the next 5 years for the league, but also for Greenville?
Well, for the league, I'm interested to see. I think, W League, it was funny because I was just, I was writing something about the Liberty yesterday, and I was looking at an article when we announced the team back in July, and there was some copy I took from the USL that said they've announced 7 teams so far. The league hopes to hit 30 teams by the time the season opens in 2022. And we're at 6. I don't know how many we're at, but it's a lot. It's more than 30. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So, and it's only going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
So the Super League, I'm interested to see how that pans out. Them going on the traditional European calendar is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just say it's interesting to me and leave it at that. Good for trying something, I suppose.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
So, but I think about, if you're Madison, do you want to start a Super League team and play in January?
Yeah.
We don't have the field heaters like they have in Europe.
Oh yeah.
So, but I think the commitment for the women's game is awesome to see. And we're committed to that. Do we have Super League ambitions? Maybe. I think we want to see how it goes.
Sure.
I keep telling my dad, I'm like, all right, we did the League One guinea pig thing. We don't need to also be the Super League guinea pig, to a point you made earlier.
No, absolutely.
More buses, not planes.
Right.
So let's watch it grow. But the W League's a great opportunity for us. We want that program of work to grow. I think they're headed in a great direction. And then, League One, I mean, I'm hearing about new expansion cities every day.
Yeah, that was the next question is how big you think that
break
gets?
some news?
I will say we have a potential expansion ownership group here tonight.
Cool.
To visit. We're visiting with them. I'm actually probably getting texted about going to see them soon.
Is your wrist vibrating with a particular?
Yeah, it's getting there. So
okay.
I won't reveal their identity.
Oh,
but,
come on.
But they're drivable. I'll say that.
Okay.
They're looking at coming in. We've hosted a couple people over the years like that to just come open the books. So I think we're headed in the right direction. I'm really pumped about Lexington next year.
Yeah, same.
I'm really biased. My mom's side of the family's from Lexington.
I spent some time in
town.
Lexington in middle school and high school.
Sports town.
Yeah.
Obviously with UK, but I think the trajectory is exactly where we want it to be. I know the franchise fees are going up. It's just getting to that point again. Where do we get those driving rivalries? Yeah. And I think the W League will help expose some of those clubs to that. I like what the league's doing a lot now, where they're bringing in W League, they're bringing in League Two, and say, try it out. If you have
I love that idea.
If you have League One ambitions, don't just go buy a League One team.
Yeah.
Start come in at League Two.
Right.
Knoxville's doing that.
Right.
I think that's a great mindset because we know that there are League Two teams that operate like League One. I mean, look at what Des Moines done for the last
100%
X years, and now they're going to championship. So. I think the future's bright. We just need a little pro rel to come in.
That was going to be where I wanted to finish.
Maybe a League Cup. Well,
they are talking about it.
What I always say is it's easy for us because it's only pro to us right now.
Right.
So people are like, you for pro rel? I say, of course I am, because there's no rel in our dictionary.
Right.
It's just pro.
That's always the part nobody wants to talk about.
And I think people are starting to move past the mindset of we need MLS on board to do this because spoiler alert, we're not getting it.
Yeah. Right.
And I don't blame
him. You don't need it. No. I mean, honestly, you don't.
And Jake at the championship game was discussing that last year.
And you look at I feel like Jake and the league have been very open to the idea of sports betting and being trying to test the waters there. I think that's huge for our league, certainly from a foreign perspective.
100%.
You bring pro rel in, you get foreign money coming in, eyeballs for us. We're up for a new TV deal starting next year. Yep. I'm fascinated to see where those negotiations go. I love being on ESPN Plus, but I know we've got a lot of interest across the board. That's going to be huge. Not so much huge for the individual clubs yet. I'm waiting for that NFL TV money to hit us
one day.
But we're making leaps and strides. The league's investing a ton, and I think if we get a League Cup coming, having the Open Cup back. I know you guys talk. I mean, we could sit here and talk about the Open Cup for hours and how our federation needs to keep pouring money into Open Cup because they will
sponsorship.
They will see the return.
Yeah,
it might take a couple years, but man, the people who get Open Cup were crazy for it, and it was so. I mean, again, we drew Charlotte, so that makes me a little biased, especially towards it. But the more times we can get on Sports Center with what's going on in the Open Cup, that's huge. So let's just keep going and keep building, and keep getting the federation, MLS, and the leagues to all work together more, even if it's not pro rel to the MLS and back. But again, the championship in League One, the competition's there. And if you can regionalize it and expose, because again, what's our best rivalry, arguably, is one that's not in our league. It's Charleston.
Yeah.
And we only get to play them in preseason or the one time we drew them in Open Cup. But man, if we could play them or Birmingham in a League Cup every year or two, that'd be great.
Yeah, that would be massive. It feels like that's the next step.
If we can get to the point, too, where maybe Open Cup or a League Cup, maybe we would take some weekends off of league play.
Yes. Yes.
I know we sold out the Charlotte match, but if that match had been on a Saturday, people would have been having sky lifts trying to look over the fence to get in. So
that's the next step is what they do in England, where you take the breaks in the season. You have that.
Wouldn't you rather play a league match on a Tuesday and flip those so you could play an Open Cup? Maybe not the first round, but as you get into
you get the ones
round of 32 or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that'd be huge.
Yeah, I mean the Atlanta-Nashville game, it was an incredibly crazy match. That if that building is full for that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
And
insanity.
they had what 12,375 at Geodis for Atlanta. And
Yeah,
Nashville.
which is great for your first time in that building with a midweek first Open Cup
I
game.
was saying a city that probably still has no idea what Open Cup is because
Yeah.
they haven't gotten to compete in it yet.
My Uber driver on Tuesday did not know what Open Cup was, so I can
Most-
speak to that.
Most people, I just try and tell them. I always say like, okay, it's like March Madness, but like you come in at different rounds, and
Yeah.
it's like March Madness, okay? And so
I think I sold a ticket for Nashville in the
Okay.
Uber, so
Okay.
hopefully that worked
Good.
out, and
Good.
I get a commission. You owe
like
me.
when March Madness went to 56, and then 56 you had the opening round stuff, and then it got
Oh,
to
yeah.
48, and then
Yeah.
you go in
Yeah.
that direction.
And then last one I want to ask, because we talk youth development all the time, what's next for you guys on that academy side, and where do you see it in the next 5 years?
I think with CISA, again, largest academy in upstate South Carolina, it's what can we continue to do with them, kind of helping drive. They've got the pipeline.
Yeah.
How can we get their players and create opportunities for their players that are complementary to what they're already doing? They're in the ECNL. They've won a couple of ECNL
Yep.
national championships. We don't want to tell them to not do the ECNL,
Yeah.
but hey, you guys are off in the summer. What about going into one of those USL Academy League pods where it's just a 6 or 8 month season?
Yeah.
That'll keep the guys playing in the summer. Give them some new exposure. Continuing to do the Academy Cup, which we've done 2 years in a row now. We started with just a boys team. This year we took a girls team to
Oh, excellent.
we were just going to take a boys team in 20. It got canceled.
Yeah.
21, we took 2 teams. This year we took 2 teams. Can we do more of that? Can we maybe get 3 or 4 teams?
Yeah.
Certainly it's kind of a strain on our coaching staff because we want to get the pro coaching staff involved because
Right.
part of the draw as a parent of why does they need to play in this? So they can have exposure to pro players, pro coaching.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's the next step is dabbling a little bit more in academy. I don't know that we're going to start an academy proper. Certainly not anytime soon. We've got to get to the point where we've got a dedicated practice facility, dedicated stadium. I mean, that's the next big thing is our stadium.
Yeah.
And then after the stadium, it's our practice facility where we can have fields that we can control. So that's all hopefully coming soon. We're making slow progress on the stadium, but it's getting there. So that's the big domino, I think, for us.
Cool. Well, Doug, it's always great to catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
I know that you come on with us for 1v1s a lot of the time to give the progress reports, but to be here at Legacy early in person to catch up with folks, to see folks here in this environment. Thanks for having
No,
us.
this is great. I appreciate you guys coming out. I think again there's a brotherhood of Southern soccer because we've all got that kind of college football mentality.
Yeah.
It's what Atlanta's done so well of mixing that with soccer culture, and we're all still kind of following the Atlanta United blueprint a little bit. So all the teams in the Carolinas, I feel like, really band together well. And I mean, just look at the number of teams that are growing in the
Yep.
Carolinas. We're up to how many I don't know how many pro teams now between the Carolinas and Georgia and Alabama. We're probably up to around 10 pro teams or
Yeah.
so, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to be in the South playing soccer.
Taking over the country. Everyone wants
sir.
to talk about Cascadia. No, you might need to pay attention to what's going on down here.
Yeah.
Yep.
I believe it was the great philosopher Andre 3000 who said the South got something to say.
Nice.
So when it comes to soccer, I believe the South got something to say.
Yes, I am
So-
with you on that. Thank you so much for the time, and thanks for having us tonight.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
I'm
Doug
gonna see if I
Irwin.
can find you some players, huh?
Oh, Vice Chair, Chief Branding Officer, Doug Irwin for Greenville Triumph. Don't get tangled. That's a bad, Very cool conversation to have with Doug on a lot of different things about
Yeah.
everything that's going on here in 3 dimensions.
Yeah, I love everything that's going from that long-term perspective, and just having been involved in these different leagues over the years. We saw it with the Silverbacks. I saw it at the MPSL level. What Doug said about that long term is so important, and the way that they're looking at the women's side is the right attitude to it. I think in the past we've just seen so many teams come and go, and so many of them came in with a big bang,
Yeah.
big advertising, big everything, but you kind of burn everybody out real fast,
Yeah.
and you don't have that next step. You've always got to continually be adding things. And sometimes those adding things are trophies.
Yeah.
But you can't guarantee that. Sometimes it's got to be, okay, we're going to add this partnership next year. We're going to add this partnership next year. And you continue to add more to the table and make it just a stronger product overall. Having W League now, increasing that academy side and that partnership is so key to the long-term growth.
Yeah, and to there's always, Doug quoted the philosopher Andre 3000. There's also slow and steady wins the race.
Do you know what group Andre 3000's in?
I believe it's Outcast with a
thank
K,
you.
sir.
I always have to ask when it comes
as you
to
should.
music. With
But no,
hip-hop
slow and steady
stuff.
wins the race.
Yeah,
and,
it does.
And what we're seeing from Greenville is you're getting bangs. It's not that big bang. It's this and this and this and this, and keep adding to what's going on. And it's sequential and it's commonsensical, I guess is probably the best way to phrase it, where you're doing things that you know will benefit and you're adding to what's going on. It's not just flying over off to the far side and doing something else that's not as that could be detached from what you're trying to build. It's all commonsensical and logical in the build is what I'm saying.
Commonsensical.
Commonsensical. I just created an adjective that's 2 words.
Okay. It's about progression for me, and I think so many times at this level you don't think progression, you just think about blowing everything out day one, and there isn't a next step. You've got to have that, and you've got to continue to grow. I think one of the areas where you see that next step, and we get to see it this year now that the competition is back, is the Open Cup, and how that Charlotte game can be a jumping off point for what's coming next. Whether it's new fans here in Greenville who come out because, oh, this is a big deal, Charlotte's coming to town, cool, we want to go root against them. Or it's people who have gravitated to Charlotte, didn't know there was a team nearby in Greenville, and then they get on the bandwagon here. You got to have those moments, and sometimes those moments can be winning a championship. Unfortunately, the championship here was won during COVID time, where it was a little bit different. When you have that come again, you have that game with Charlotte, you have those moments, those you can build upon. When the moments are, unveiling a logo or unveiling a shirt or do like a big sponsor year one, those don't have lasting power.
Right.
Moments on the field, that's what we're all here for. Where, the kids remember, like, hey, I saw Don Smart do this in a game. I want to be like him. Hey, Aaron Walker came and talked to me after that game. He signed my shirt. That game means something to me. That's what takes it to the next level.
Yeah, it's is tangibility a word?
I think it is. It's more of a word than commonsensical. I know that.
Okay, well, the tangibility of what's been going on.
John's making up words.
There's tangible moments.
What else is new?
Commonsensical, he says.
That's not a word.
That's what I thought.
Tangibility?
Also not a word.
I don't think so. That one I'm not 100% on.
That one has enough believability.
I can at least buy it.
All right.
Like, I would look that up in the Scrabble dictionary. I'm not looking up commonsensical. I'm not wasting my time.
It's not a word.
No. So what we're talking about after speaking to Doug is kind of those next steps. And I think you can really speak to this, what you've seen as we get the cowbells going. I love it. What you kind of get to see here firsthand, Chris, is a lot of teams have come in at the lower divisions, and year one, it's Big Bang Theory kind of idea of unroll everything out, and then there's no answer for year two, and it fizzles. Here, it feels like you're getting moments every year. You're getting growth every year. You get the women coming in this year. You had the game with Charlotte. It feels like there's a lot of room to grow, and this club's not going anywhere. It's sustainable.
Yeah, and I will say, like, as someone who really, in listening to Soccer Down Here when Atlanta United was coming in, I really got a passion for, like, I want a team in Greenville. And I knew, like, MLS is not coming to Greenville, but I really wanted us to have a team. So we had Greenville FC for a while. And then when the Triumph and FSA were coming, I was like, I want to do whatever I can to help support and get this thing going. But what you're saying, because of my energy and enthusiasm, I'm kind of like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. But as I've developed a friendship with Doug, like, kind of hearing the philosophy behind the scenes of, like, there's an intentionality about the growth and what we do and how we roll it out. And you see a team like Lansing that came to the league
it's good
with
one.
a lot of momentum and a lot of energy and a lot of excitement in that community. And, after a year, they're like,
it's too much. Yeah.
And, and so I do think there's so much momentum. And it's like every year it feels like we're getting a little bit more and a little bit more. And the thing that is exciting for me as someone who loves the sport and loves this community is every week now when I look around the stands, they're getting more full and more full and more full. And success is a little bit of a piece of that.
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
But it's also like the fact that soccer has kind of taken off, and then there's a momentum in this community for this sport that I promise you, if you polled most of the people coming in here, they wouldn't consider themselves soccer fans.
Right.
But this is what I love to see, right? You got all of these kids.
Yeah, I've seen so many kids
really
come in.
buying in, and these are the ones that are playing soccer.
Yeah.
The parents are getting familiar with the sport, and so now it's like this is a great thing to bring our kids to and let them have a blast, and then they get in, and now as they get older, that's really how it's going to grow here. So
yeah, and they get to see players doing what they want to do firsthand. That was something I didn't have growing up. I wish I had. It would have made me a better player because you just get to see it. That stuff that you're a midfielder and you watch Aaron Walker and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I can do what he did.
Yep.
And you start to do it. I mean, we didn't have regular soccer when I was growing up. It was MLS's first year where I'm watching it game after game after game after game. And I started doing things like just subconsciously that you would see and you would watch. Jaime Moreno is somebody that I loved as a player. And in my own bad version of it, started doing things that he did, not just dyeing my hair. And it was, you need that up close. And it makes you not just like a bigger fan or more interested in it, but it makes you a better player too.
Well, and the accessibility too, to me, is what's so cool here. Like I think I told this story maybe on Soccer Down Here.
I'm waiting on our camera to fall over. If it does, it just got really windy.
Yeah. The wind is picking up. And the train's here. Let's go.
I feel like we're right at home now.
The accessibility of everything, right? Like the fact that every week John Harks, I'm talking to this like soccer legend who like knows who I am. And you talk about the kids, like knowing the players get familiar with them. They're out in the community. It really is what's really helping grow the game. So, all right, I'm going to jump back off because you guys just have so many people that want to speak to you.
Yes.
But hey, thanks for letting me tune in. All my Twitch Feeds people, y'all are my people. Jarrett, you should have been here. I'm taking your spot.
Yes, keep talking trash to Jarrett. That is always appreciated.
Okay, so Nico Brown and Jamie Smith are hanging out with us. They're coming this way.
Excellent.
So how about this? You talk to them. I'll make sure stuff doesn't.
No, actually, you do the reverse. You talk to them. I will make sure stuff doesn't fall away. John is taking over. We're all in trouble. I'm going to tag out. You guys tag in.
Okay. Seat 1 and 2. Come on in. 1, 2.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So for those who are watching on the Twitch pitch, which is what we call it, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Nico Brown
and
Jamie Smith.
All right. So let me go first and foremost. Nico, and we'll tell the story about how you got to Greenville. First impressions. Nico, how did you end up here in Greenville?
It's an interesting story, actually. I was on a NISA team called Maryland Bobcats in my rookie year, and then I wasn't having much. I had success there, but I wasn't having in favor with the coaching staff and everything. And then I came on trial here in September when they're having a lot of injuries and the winger position. And then luckily they ended up signing me after a few days of trialing. And ever since then, we went on like an 8-game winning streak or unbeaten streak last year. And we went all the way to the final. And I was able to earn some playing time and gain some trust from the coaching staff and everything. So I've loved it ever since being here in Greenville.
Okay, so Jamie, Nico is taking full credit for the win streak to get to the last game of the year. How did you end up here in the Upstate?
Well, funny story. I was just an international coming over to enjoy my college experience, come play some soccer over here. I was at a college not too far from here, Limestone.
Yeah.
And I was there for 18 months. I was fortunate enough to be able to experience the best of, small colleges and big colleges. I got to transfer to NC State, which is, one of the top levels in college soccer. And I played the rest of my time there, including the COVID year. At the start of this season, I was always had my eye on trying to get a professional contract. I spoke with the coaches here. I spoke with Alex, and, they were happy to bring me in. And I just proved myself over the preseason period. Earned myself a contract, got a few games to start the year, and then unfortunately got injured. But, it's an interesting story, but, just coming from abroad and, getting to experience places like this, good communities like this, it's really fun.
All right, so we'll do international tiebreaker since he went last with the first question. He'll go first with the second question.
Yeah.
So, and there's no sharing or repeating of answers. So that's another key. So then what's it been like for you to be a part of this organization here in Greenville, knowing what you knew from NC State and Limestone?
I think He's testing me with that one, huh?
Yeah.
So
you sit in the chair, you get tested.
I know, yeah. No, I think being around this environment, being around a professional environment, working with so many good people, the staff are great. I think the biggest thing for me is, waking up every day and going into training, whether we're injured or not, we actually enjoy going into the workplace. Like I said, there's such a really close-knit group here, such good people that work at the football club. And yeah, I think that was the biggest part for me. The people around it, they make it what it is. The soccer's another side of it. It's important what happens off the field, and then that translates on the field as well. So I love it here. I think Greenville's a great place. We have great fans. It's a great city, and there's great people here.
And Nico, yes, we've seen the cowbells come through, and we've seen everything that's a part of this fabric. What's it been like for you to come from NISA and Maryland to be down here and be a part of things here in Greenville?
Bit of a culture shock, honestly. It's been a surprising culture shock. I really enjoy it down here. I think life's much slower. People enjoy, everyone's nice, everyone's saying hi, and hoping I'd get better from my injury right now. And it's just been a surreal experience, honestly, being in the locker room with these amazing coaching staff and amazing guys in the locker room. It's really been a great place that I can kick off my career and hopefully spend many more years in professional football. So honestly, this is the best place to be in League One. It really is.
So then what's it like to learn from a staff that includes a guy like John Harkes, who has, been on walls on posters for a lot of kids in the U.S.?
I think Coach Harkes, honestly, Gaffer, as we call him, he's taken a liking to me. And honestly, he tries to help me specifically get better at the winger position. And whenever he's speaking, I listen to every single word he says because I can't hear from a better source than him on it. He's played at the Premier League level. He's played at the men's national team level. So just anything the staff says, I just listen to, and it's been a great experience so far. Yeah.
So Nico uses the word gaffer.
Yeah.
I know that's a natural for you, but what's it like to learn from a gaffer like John Harkes?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think his experience of what he's done in the game is vital to our success. And I think he can also translate the experiences that he's gone through as a player, and which helps us as well. He understands us as players and as people, and I think that's really important. It's not always coaching the team and coaching tactics. It's also coaching people as well, and I think he does a really good job of that on both sides of it.
Jamie Smith and Nico Brown hanging out with us here on Soccer Down Here as kickoff is coming up just around the corner in, 44-16, 22 minutes. I'm having to do math. Jason's not here, so I have to do the math by myself. When it comes to USL League One, a lot of folks may not necessarily know about it until they're chasing it, until there's a championship game that's involving Greenville or something like that. But I think that a lot of folks are missing out on the opportunity for their knowledge base when it comes to USL League One. When you first hear USL League One, what was your first thought? It's USL League One. You're in USL League One. What was your first thought when you heard USL League One in quotation marks?
Yeah, the first thing you think is professional football. As players, you got to understand the game, and we know what sort of levels we want to get to. Listen, everyone wants to play at the top level, but there's numerous professional leagues that gives you the opportunity to play at. And like I said, USL 1, even USL 2, I played in USL 2. Obviously, it's not a professional league, but it helps you try and gain the access to go and play at the pro levels. But yeah, when you think of USL League One, it's a professional league. It's an opportunity to go and show yourself on a professional stage. And I think it's a good level. Like we've said, we've had numerous cup games, numerous upsets. Even the one here, we really showed ourselves against Charlotte, which is good for us. And I think, like I said, through games like that, and as soccer grows in the US more and more, the leagues will get bigger. There'll be more teams that want to join the league. And yeah.
What's it like to see these rivalries grow? I know in NISA, there are rivalries that are attached. Most of them are attached out west, but you see Tormenta and Chattanooga and Greenville. That regional rivalry stuff is here. What's it like to experience that here in Greenville?
Since I've been in Greenville, came late last season. I think we played Chattanooga 2 or 3 times. Even last season, the 8 games I was here, and we played them in the semifinal here. That was probably the biggest game of my career, besides the Charlotte game here. So, it's crazy how the traveling fans, they come and they're so supportive of their team. I see on Twitter even, the Tormentas, the Chattanoogas, they're just talking to our staff, to our online staff and the Twitter and everything. It's just crazy. I didn't know that football down here was like so big and the rivalries are growing so much, but it's a great thing to be a part of, and it brings a real energy to each game that we play against those teams that like, oh, we have an extra little something trying to win this game, So.
Well, and at the same time, I think that college football mentality is attached to it. And I know that with NC State, you know what it's like in the ACC, but the college football, very, very regional, very, very, it's close to the heart, like we get to see overseas with your favorite clubs and things like that. So that regional attachment and the college football energy is there. What was it like Open Cup? Actually, that probably would have been a handball because it was away from the body and it was extended. That would have been a handball under the new rules. But when it comes to Open Cup, for folks that weren't here for Open Cup, break it down. You might have seen it on TV and might have, sit there and look at it, but the visuals and the energy, what was that like here?
I mean, it was absolutely jumping in here. Every seat was taken, I would say. There was a lot of Charlotte fans. There's a lot of more Greenville fans. The energy was amazing. The sound of the stadium was loud. When Jake Keegan scored, I mean, the stadium top just blew off. It was like, whoa, I didn't know Greenville could get this loud. It was like, you see the true love that Greenville has for football, and it's really amazing being in this environment, this community. So, yeah.
So what was it like? You get that perspective, the energy here. I mean, it can be a very special place when it gets filled and loud. I think it's one of those special environments here in USL League One.
Yeah, for sure. And like Nico said, I think getting people down here for a game against Charlotte, it brought a lot of numbers from Charlotte as well as our own. Our fans behind the goal, like we said, were so loud throughout the whole game. But just from our point of view, as soon as we knew that we were getting that Charlotte game, there was a certain buzz around the area. I think a buzz around the community. The club was excited for it, and it was great to see this stadium packed out. Honestly, I think some of the support we had that game, people not only just from the area, but I think there was people coming from far that had, grew up in Greenville and thought, right, let's go support the local team. And yeah, it was great. It was great to see it bouncing. Obviously, gutted that I couldn't be involved personally, but we work so hard for these games, throughout the year, and the fact that we put ourselves up against an MLS team and showed how hard we can fight and how well we can play was big for us. And hopefully it helps those fans that came maybe for that first time to come back because they enjoyed the atmosphere and they want to be here again.
Bit of a slow start getting out of the blocks this year, but I think it's safe to say that the Open Cup results leading into the Charlotte match and what happened against Charlotte, the match against Chattanooga, and then fighting for the draw at Central Valley, I think you're kind of seeing, I know that there have been a lot of injuries and stuff like that, but it seems like things are starting to come together. Is that a fair assessment that Chattanooga and Open Cup, that bit of a turning point?
Yeah, probably. I think since the start of the season, I don't think we've played that badly, to be honest. I think, there's just a few moments in games that haven't maybe gone our way. Teams scoring goals against the run of play at times, which has cost us. And then all of a sudden you're on the back foot and you're chasing games. But I think in the majority of the games this season, we've had a fair bit of control. Obviously, like you said, we want to win all our home games in front of our fans. Going away from home is always tougher because you always have that the travel issues or whatever goes on there. But like I said, we always have belief in that dressing room. We know we've got good players. We know this. We trust the staff. We know how we're going to go out each game and play our game first and focus on ourselves. And, it's just one of them things. Sometimes results don't go against you. And
since being here, I've learned that even last year during our dry patch of results, Coach Gaffer and Alex Blackburn, they were really calm during those times. They always instilled in us just a trust in our locker room, trust in ourselves, be present in each day and each session and just like give it our all. And then the results will come. Like I've never been around a staff that's as calm and as just like cool and collective in themselves as they are. And they really instill that confidence within us, I would say, even if the times are not going well, All
right. So tonight it's Forward Madison. We don't know how many jerseys they're going to be wearing tonight. They may change at halftime. They may change at a hydration break or something like that. When you guys have been watching tape leading into this match tonight, Nico, what have been some of the takeaways for folks who are going to turn over to ESPN Plus and watch this? What are some of the things that you've been looking at this week when it comes to Forward Madison?
I would say it's to stay compact defensively. We want to attack them directly and quickly, immediately. We want to be the people on the front foot. So I would say our wide guys are very dynamic. So we're trying to possess the ball centrally, but attack via the wide people because we know we have an advantage out there against them, and we just need to flood the box and close up the game and stay strong defensively. We'll be good.
Yeah. Like you said, every game in this league is tough. Every team has their own way of playing, has their own style. With Madison, they play their three at the back. They're very attack minded. Try and stay solid defensively, but like I said, if we can get our wingers into these dangerous areas and get behind them, then we'll have a good chance of winning the game.
Okay, well, I don't want to get you guys into any trouble, so go ahead and go sit where you're supposed to sit and support your guys. Once again, Jamie Smith and Nico Brown with the Triumph. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. I think that might be a sign. We've got a double rainbow here. Double rainbow here tonight at Legacy Early. Thanks for hanging out with us here at Soccer Down Here, guys. Good luck this season. Thanks for having us and rolling out the carpet.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it.
Good deal. Yeah. I didn't want to get Jamie and Nico into any trouble.
Did you?
By keeping them any later.
Okay, good. Because we also need to be going here soon because we got to pack everything in the car and come back for the match that's going to be kicking off. You can watch it on ESPN Plus, kicking off just after the top of the hour. You got a rainbow behind us, double rainbow. It's beautiful. You can't see it on the Twitch. Some pictures I'll try to get posted here in a minute before everything blows over.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out with us on Twitch. We're going to also post this as a podcast. So if you're listening to it later, you're kind of like, I already know what happened in the game, but you get to hear from some Greenville Triumph folks. It's been a lot of fun being up here. We're actually been talking about some ideas about coming back, maybe for an away game viewing party, maybe for a playoff situation, but also something we want to start doing is season kickoff events like we did in Birmingham.
Yep.
Do that up here in Greenville next season. So make sure you're following us at Soccer Down Here on all your platforms. We will be back with you tomorrow afternoon from the Atlanta United Training Ground, the Stars, Stripes, and Soccer event for active military, for veteran serving organizations. That's tomorrow at 3 o'clock. We'll be with you then. We'll be back on Monday to recap everything from the weekend, 9:05. Have a good weekend. Mucha plata, y'all.
Mucha plata, y'all.